Hi, I'm Daniel, and in front of me I have my two bikes that I ride mostly. This is my Canyon Ultimate that I ride on the road, and this is my Wahoo Kicker bike which I ride indoors because it hasn't got any wheels. Now, I do a lot of indoor training on this bike because the weather is rubbish in the UK and it's really time efficient and so on, and I did my road riding on this bike. Now, I've had some knee pain in the last couple of weeks when cycling, only on the indoor bike, not on my outdoor bike. So I have been scratching my head a little bit, I fiddled around a little bit, I can't be fiddling around anymore. I need to sort this out so I can continue to train on this indoor bike because that's where I'm doing the majority of my riding at the minute. So I'm going to attempt to fix this with a tape measure. Now, I have just been on the Wahoo app. There is a fit guide app. I did it once and it was way off. I'm clearly putting something in wrong. Now, I'm not looking for it to tell me how to fit me to it. And what I want to do is use the measurements from this road bike and put them on here, because even if that's right or wrong, I'm not getting any pains on that. So I just want to replicate that on here, and then if I still get pains on here, I know it's something else, either the riding style or something. So I'm going to try and fix this with a tape measure, and that is it. This is not a bike fit how-to by any means. I've got a UK Bike Fit bottle on there, but this video is not in any way associated with UK Bike Fit. I'm sure Dan will be very happy to hear that. So what we're going to do, well, firstly, I'm trying to come in and look at this with a bit of a blank slate. Like, I know that I've ridden this for ages and I like that, like that. First thing I've noticed is I have this bike tilted back about 7 degrees. The reason I've had it tilted back is because there's a lot of bar to saddle drop, and it's not that comfy to ride indoors. I think it's to do with how it's set up. I'm quite tall, I'm 6'2", and that's not ideal. So I need to put this down, because if I, there we go, that's 0. 0? That's 0. If it's tilted up, I'm almost like riding like a recumbent, like my legs are up a bit more, aren't they? Even if it's only a couple of degrees. And that, I'm sure, is going to have some sort of effect on my riding. So let's go back up to where it was. It was there. That, I mean, it feels like in my mind when I've adjusted it, I'll just bring the bars up a bit, that's fine, but I've actually probably changed that quite a lot. So let's get that back down there to 0, and I'm going to have to just ride it on 0 whether it's uncomfortable or not for the front end. And let's have a look at the rest of the bike. So I've got different saddles. On my road bike I've got the Physique Aliante VS, and on the indoor bike I have the Pro Aero Fuel Stealth. Only reason being is that's what I use in time trials and triathlons, and I like to try and do some TT position work on here, and it's easier to do that with the cutout, with the position and so on. My underneath is grateful for that. What I'm really interested in is getting the relationship between the bottom bracket and the saddle exactly the same as my road bike. So how far and back, fore and aft is the saddle, and how high is the saddle. When you change the fore and aft, it changes the height. So I think we're best to try and get the fore and aft. In fact, they both affect each other, don't they? As you go up with the seat angle, you go further back. Right, let's get the height right first, then we'll do the fore and aft, and we'll see if it's going to change the height, and we'll just tweak it from there. I've already measured that, I don't need to do it again. 83 centimeters is my saddle height on the road bike. So let's have a look at what this is set at on the Kicker bike. As I said, I have been fiddling the last week or two, so this might be a bit different, but I feel like it's going to be pretty spot on. Yeah, so it's a little bit low. It's ½ centimeter low. So let's put that up ½ centimeter to start with. Looking at this saddle as well, I can really tell where I've been sitting. I've been sitting quite far forward. There's a real dint in there. Whereas on this saddle, I know that I sit further back. You can't see a dint, but I know that I sit there. So that's interesting to see. I really hope this doesn't fall on me. Right, there we go. Okay, is that 83 yet? Let's have a look. Okay, that'll do. Is it straight? Yeah, close enough. Right. So the height, although I might need to tweak it if we come forward or back, that's there or thereabouts. Now, just eyeballing the difference between these positions, it looks like the saddle on the road bike is further back in relation to the bottom bracket than this one is. It's hard to tell 100%, but it definitely is in fact. If I was to use have I got anything I can tie this tape measure around? This TV remote perhaps. So the front of the saddle is not a great reference point because I'm not sitting on the front of the saddle. I'm better measuring from where I actually sit on the saddle. So let's just put that on there, using a little weight just to get this tape measure plumb is the correct word, I believe. So let's have a look at from where I sit on the saddle, what's that relation to the bottom bracket? Where's the tape measure fall in relation to the bottom bracket? It is a fair bit behind. It is, how far behind is it? is about 1.1 centimetre behind, whereas if I drop this one down, that is much further behind, like a lot. So let's change that. Let's get that a bit closer to it. That is insane. I didn't realise how different that would be. Right, so I'm going to measure this. I'm not just going to eyeball it. So the way in which I'm going to measure it, use something that doesn't move. The wall, hopefully that doesn't move. So if I back this bike up, where I'm going to go to, in fact it doesn't even matter if it's not backed up. I'm going to measure from the wall to the BB and the wall to the middle of the saddle, and that is then the difference. And I can do the same thing with this kicker bike. I don't need to move it. Wall to the BB, wall to the middle of the saddle. The difference is then how far the setback needs to be. So let's have a look at that first of all. So on the road bike, we're going to go to the middle where I sit on it is, let's say, 53 centimetres. And then the wall to the BB. Oh my God. It's important it's the right height as well, so let's just get a bit further down there. 76.5. I'm not going to get maths wrong on the internet, so 76.5 minus 53 is 23.5 centimetres of saddle setback from the BB. So let's do the same thing to this here. We're going to measure. Right, so wall to BB is 83. 83. Wall to where I sit on the saddle, 65. 3 minus 65. 18, so it needs to go back further. Yes, it does, and it can't. That's as far back as it can go, can't it? Isn't it? Oh no. Okay, that's as far back as it can go. Oh, I can move the saddle. So I need this to be 59.5 from the wall. That's about spot on, perfect there. It looks to me like a lot of setback, but then this top tube isn't, like, it's not as big as my bike, is it? So it's going to be like a lot of this, and I haven't had that ever that I extended. Right, so that's a setback sorted, but then I do need to just check the height again, because with that being such a big change in setback, it's probably changed the saddle height. It's probably gone a bit higher because it's further from the BB. Yeah, so it's now up at 85, so let's go down a bit. 83, okay. I think because of the seat tube angle of the kicker bike is basically nothing, I won't have changed the setback now by just dropping it a little bit. It's in the same position, whereas the seat tube of the Canyon, you can see, is a lot more angled. So summary, what have I done? Right, we've gone a lot further back with the setback, both with this and with the saddle. The seat height was pretty much okay, so that was the only real change, and we've tipped it to be level. So I've gone down a bit, back a bit, and that's about it. Let's have a quick sit on it and see what it feels like. Right, I've even been and fetched cycling shoes for you lot, so let's get on there and have a look. I'm expecting this to feel different, but then I don't know why it should feel different, because I don't feel different getting on that to getting on this already, but clearly it is. Right, let's have a quick pedal. God, it looks so far behind the bottom bracket. Does that feel different to the road bike or not? I feel really stretched out. Let's bring that back a bit. Okay. Okay. What do you reckon? That feels fine. Which it should do. I've ridden the road bike today, so this feels very similar. Okay. So there we go. I mean, the apps and stuff are great if they work and if you put the right data in. I clearly wasn't. But I think the winning thing for me there is getting my bike next to it and physically looking. I fiddled with my seat height over the last couple of weeks quite a lot, and I've moved like the saddle forward and backwards like 1 centimetre or 2, thinking, oh, I'm already very close to my road bike setup, so I'll just tweak it and I'll get there. Clearly not. That is, I'm going to say, 8-9 centimetres of setback. So that means when I was riding on the bike indoors, that was so different. Maybe the tilt has made it then have like a more of a setback in reality versus the bottom bracket if I'm tilting the bike. I don't really know. Either way, it's now set up properly, and I am crossing everything that I don't have any knee troubles with it. So I will get some rides done and let you know. I'd love to hear from you though, if you have any indoor bike training fitting tips. I see a lot of these balance boards and other things, and I've always thought, oh, whatever, I'm just training. Is this a thing? Is the moving around your bike a bit, is that helpful to you at all or not? Let me know in the comment section down below.